Dueling autocoders allows you to use Claude Opus, GPT-4 Turbo, or both of them at the same time to build projects. Let's select to use both of them. And let's ask create two files, one which searches wiki articles, other archive papers based on user input. And I made quite a lot of typos. We are actually making calls to both models simultaneously, and they are capable of writing multiple files, and the resulting files will be added to the Claude and GPT folder respectively. Here we go. We actually have the result from GPT-4, and this is archive search, which takes in user input, and this is for Wikipedia search, which takes in user input, and this is Claude's archive search, and this is Wikipedia from Claude. Now we can combine them both into a class in another file, and they'll actually know that they are working on these files because whatever is in this folder goes back into its context window. So whatever is in these folders plus the user instruction is the only thing that we are keeping track of. And GPT has returned the research searcher class, which has both search Wikipedia and archive methods, and it also takes in user input. And this is the Claude's response. It has both methods implemented. Now we can actually delete these files from here and actually make additions to them, such as making comments or anything else for that matter. And these will be taken into consideration in our next request. But let's say you wanted to start a new session, you can simply say --new. And these old files will be copied and backed up into folders in older GPT projects and older Claude projects, and you can start new. For example, we can just go ahead and select Claude. So now we won't be working with GPT-4. And I'm going to copy the main dueling autocoders file into the Claude's folder. Because the models have access to files within their respective folders, it'll be able to summarize this file and write it into a text file. Okay, this is actually a pretty nice summary of the file, the dueling autocoders file that I've written. The script sets up a system message for both models, creates directories to store files. So this is actually pretty good. And again, I can say --new and actually copy this into Claude's folder. The backed up copies are saved at datetime. The code files for this project will be available at my Patreon at the architect level. Link will be in the description. We're going to be reviewing the code, or we're going to be doing an overview of it shortly, but let's go ahead and experiment a little more. I again selected both of them, and I'm going to ask write 4 files with short sentences for a story, each describing a chapter. Now GPT is already done. This is the beginning, journey, challenge, and success. And Claude is done as well. I'm going to now ask combine them in another file into a short story of 100 words. So this is a great way to actually build apps using both of the most powerful models that exist today. You can also get a glimpse at their capabilities, and you can compare them. So this is what Claude has written, and this is the response from GPT-4. Again, remember, you can always say --new, and those files will be copied here, so you always have a backup copy of them, and you can start fresh. Just remember that whatever is in these folders will be going into the context window of the models. So if you have really long files here, you will be paying the cost for those tokens. Like I said, the code files for main dueling autocoders will be available at my Patreon. Link will be in the description. Also, if you're enjoying my projects, you can find all my projects at my website, echohive.live. I have over 250 free coding videos, each one of them exploring unique aspects of building apps with large language models. You can here find the descriptions, watch the videos, and if you're a patron, find the code download links. So dueling autocoders works using the Claude Unified and OpenAI Unified classes I've created. I've actually simplified the OpenAI Unified class, which manages message history if you so wanted, handles streaming responses in JSON mode. I won't be going into detail about it, but if you want to find out more, you can watch this OpenAI Unified API video. And same thing with the Claude API. The Claude Unified, where we set the API keys. So you can set your API keys here. It'll automatically detect from environment variables, but you can set it manually here. But this allows us to set the system message, which is actually a parameter in the API call right here. For Claude, this also does 10 retries. So all in all, it just simplifies your life. We are using Threadpool Executor to call both models simultaneously. We are setting a programming language here. just so that we have some initial guidance. This goes into the system message, and we instantiate both Claude and GPT instances with streaming set to true. For GPT, we are using JSON mode, and we are setting the mix history words to 0. So we won't be keeping track of the messaging history, but we will be keeping track of all the files we are creating. So the working directories for each model is actually going to be our message history. Now we print a welcome message. It does explain that this app will continuously load all the files, if any, from GPT and Claude folder into each model's context window so they can iterate on the project. So that means whatever your files you have here will be going into the context window. And then we set a system message for Claude. I would appreciate your expert and professional help while I'm coding with. This is where we insert the programming language. Please return the file names and content of the files in the following format. Claude does better with XML type of prompting. So here we are inserting an XML tag for a file name of the file, and that tag, file content, contents of the file, and then that content. And we say if you need to return multiple files, please use the same format for each file. If you are given file names and their contents, work on those files unless user asks for something else. So this is pretty much just so that it knows it needs to iterate on these files. And GPT system messages very similar, but instead we are actually using JSON mode for that. And we set the Claude system message as a parameter, and we add the system message to GPT. And now we have a file here, a function, which actually is going to extract the files from Claude's response by actually iterating over it and finding these tags and extracting and writing them to the appropriate file names in the Claude folder. And similarly, we have another function that will do the same for GPT, but except we are actually using the return JSON here and writing each file content to a file name under the GPT folder. And then we have a function that reads files from working folders. This will take in a model name and working files message. The model will signify which folder we are reading. So this is a dual purpose function which can read the files from both Claude and GPT folder. It's just going to read it, and we have this working file message. What we're going to actually do is, which will become clear here in a moment, we actually create a string with the file names and their contents. And if the folder is empty, there is none. Same for GPT. So once we have that string, we will be actually adding to the message along with our instructions that we enter here to send to both models or to any model if you're working with an individual model. If you like to experiment with large language model powered apps, make sure to visit CodeHive. It's codehive.app. Link will be in the description. This website that I've created has over 900 free GPT-powered Python applications and all sorts of domains. So this is a great place where you can find inspiration or even business ideas, or just consider it as a playground. You can find the code files here. You can just copy and paste them into your IDE and you're good to go. And if you like the apps, you can download them from my Patreon shop for $100, all 900 plus of them. So here, just to make sure, I actually added a safety check where, so we first check that we have a working file message, which means we had files in these folders and we have actually converted them into a string. I'm just checking the character length of it. If it is over 50,000, which should be roughly around 10,000 tokens, it'll actually print a warning message saying you are trying to load a large amount of data into model's context window. So it asks you if you want to continue or not. This is just something I wanted to implement just in case if you put a large file here and forget about it or something. So this should actually remind you that this will be going into the model's context window. So this is all that does. And then we check for a Claude folder, GPT folder, an older Claude projects folder, an older GPT folder. If they don't exist, we create them. And then we set a chat with parameter or variable to none before we begin our main chat loop. And if no model is selected, then that means chat with is none. Then we ask whether if the user wants to use Claude, GPT-4, or both of them at the same time. Then we take in user input and we set the chat with to whichever model or both. And then we take in user input, asking what would you like to code. And we do offer that --new. We'll actually start over. If the user enters --clear, we clear the history, but this is really not necessary actually. This would be necessary if you wanted to keep a message history and actually wanted to increase this mix history words. It's up to you. But in this current implementation, this is not really necessary to use. But if you do select --new, then we import datetime, get the date, year, month, day, hour, minutes, and seconds. And we check if there's any files in Claude folder, for example. We create a new folder under older Claude projects. And then we loop over all the files in Claude and actually move them to that new folder. And we do the same for GPT. And then we set chat width to none because now we're going to create a new session. And then we print a message and then we continue. Now here's where the Claude working file message comes in. So we initiate these messages. Here are the files we're working on for both Claude and GPT. Because if you remember, we were creating the working files message by reading all the file names and file contents. So we're going to be actually merging them here with this strings that we have generated. So at this point, we are actually going to loop over all the Claude folders. The read file from, if you are talking with Claude, then we're going to use the read files from working folder and read all the files from the Claude folder. And we're going to do the same for GPT and read those files, GPT working files message. This is where we were returning the working files, as you remember. Not returning by set, but setting it anyway. Returning it right here. Okay, now that we have which files we're working on, and if we are actually chatting with both, we do to both of them at the same time. So if we are chatting with Claude, and if we have a Claude working files message, then we combine all the messages here, Claude working files message, plus the user input. And then we make a call to Claude with the .chat method of the Claude unified class. And if you're talking with GPT or both, we do the same. But we'll talk about both here in a moment because we are using thread pool executor there. In any case, after we get our response from either one of the models, then we use the extract files from Claude, right? Because we want to, Claude and GPT, we call these respective functions to extract the file names and file contents to save under the appropriate folder. But if we were talking with both, again, we get the working file messages, and then we instantiate a thread pool executor, and then we actually submit to the chat method of both classes, the user input. And here we were reframing the user input as Claude working message files, Claude and GPT, working file message plus the user input. And then as those get completed, we get them and then we extract their respective files and code and we write them to file. All in all, this looks pretty complex, but the idea behind it is pretty simple. And this is really useful, in my opinion. I've been using it quite a lot now that I built it. And if you find it interesting, like I said, you can find it and download it at my Patreon. The requirements for this is pretty simple. It's just OpenAI, term color, and Anthropic libraries. So I hope you enjoyed this project and found it useful. Do let me know what you think. Also, check out my AutoStreamer project, which allows you to create educational course websites in real time, which you can record and live stream. And while it's creating a website such as this live stream, which demonstrates its capabilities, and at the end show you how you can actually deploy it live. Feel free to check it out and let me know what you think. Thank you for watching, and I'll be making more videos over the Duolingo autocoders and possibly a live stream as well. If you like talking about large language models, feel free to join our Discord server. We have over 1,000 members now. Also, feel free to follow me at X, Twitter. My handle is hive_echo. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.